Some disgusting addict wrote to me and said, I'm addicted to drugs. And that's very unfortunate for you. I'm not, clean as a whistle, feels mad. Feel even worse, flexing. This is all social media is though, isn't it? Social media is just a bunch of chicks with mad asses going, yeah, you're jealous. Anyway, but yeah, no, honestly, I don't know what you should be doing. I'm really sorry that you are addicted to drugs. It's above my pay grade. I would suggest that you just go to some government hotline and they'll help you out with that, obviously. The only thing that I can tell you is just little experiments that I've read that have shit to do with mice. That's it, everything. Well, it's just very interesting. They put a bunch of mice in a box, and don't you hate people explaining the experiment that involves a mouse, but then after you hear what the mouse did, you go, they're very clever, aren't they? It's just that process, you're like, just get to the, it wanted the cheese. So, yeah, look, I don't know, I've never dealt with drug addiction, but that is basically because I saw drug addicts in my life and thought, ooh, not for me. But what I have learned from both actually my dad's advice, I really think he summed it up the best because he was a filthy drugger, but, well, not bad, but, you know, it was the 80s. Let's put it that way. He was saying that drugs just make it okay that you're doing nothing with your life. Now that completely synchronizes with this experiment where they gave, because the original theory of addiction all came to the fact that this original experimenter put mice in a box. Yeah, it's boring at the moment. Bear with me. It'll get more interesting. Just like these hand movements are more interesting. Ooh, it's an aeroplane. Can't go on those anymore, can you? Post corona. Yeah, so it was in the box. And in there was just food, water, and water laced with heroin. That was it. What he learned was, it's amazing, but when mice have fuck all to do, they will go to the heroin every time. Who'd have thought? So, and this was fairly recently, I think it was only a few years ago, someone was looking at that experiment and then thought, if I was a mouse in a box with not even a wheel, maybe I might be a tad bored. So, he made mouse heaven. Wheels. Little toilet rolls for them to run around in. What else do mice like doing? Sniffing each other extremely quickly and running away. I don't know. I don't know what mice are into. Cheese. Maybe just a little equipment of cheese that they could go in and out of going, yay, it's with. Whatever mice love, he put it in there. This huge universe of earthly delights for mice, but he also put in the water laced with heroin. You know how often they went to it? Rarely. Maybe a few times in their life, just as a little pick-me-up after a day of having fun running around. What they noticed is that if you give people activities, drug addiction rapidly declines. This is why everybody's praising Portugal's drug policy, because that is how they've implemented it. It's that if you are a drug addict, you go to this place and they just basically say, like, here's a shovel, start digging. It's the Breaking Bad skit, like, yeah, I don't feel like crack as much anymore. So, the only piece of advice I could give to you if you have any drug addiction whatsoever, having never battled with it and having no actual experience with it or expertise in it whatsoever, all I can say is that if you give yourself tasks, you just find yourself having less and less time to have these substances of question, such as Ali, the guy that I do the pod with. Now, I think it's pretty fair to say there was a point in Ali's life where he was, the biggest stoner I've ever met. Wake and bake, baby. Wake and sleep, just all day, every day. It was like he was an old man attached to an oxygen mask, except a bong. And he's an extremely intelligent man. And I understand having tried it before, what a journey, weed. But anyway, I've had that before, confessions. And I do understand the appeal of it because it kind of makes your brain think in a different way. I found after a while that it wasn't able to keep your brain on focus long enough to develop those ideas, and I think that's why I got out of it again, because I had other things that I was doing in my life, so I just thought, nah. And And it just became less important to me over time as a result. There was that classic period, as soon as you leave high school, just being high non-stop for 6 months, just in this constant cookie haze. Like you're one of those 19th century opium addicts in a den. Ugh, put on World Poker Tour again. There was that period. And then after that, I just started getting into doing tasks outside of that. Self-help, started doing comedy and all of these things and all these other activities, so just had less and less time to sit around and do fuck all. I think that that's it, is just that you need to understand that everything that you are doing is an addiction. Everything. 95% of your life is just a habitual habit of doing the same things over and over, as you can tell from this video, because it's just the same points. The habitual thing, when you are talking about just like your addiction to drugs, yeah, I understand that there's physical addiction, but there's also a psychological element to it. It's just a thing that you are doing, you're just going through the motions, you're just doing the habit. You will probably notice if you start writing down the time of day that you smoke or the places that you smoke or anything like that. When I came to cigarettes and I was just reducing that, and now I barely smoke at all. But like really barely smoke at all, fuck me. But anyway, what you notice is that you just do it around the same people for the same reasons over and over again, because your brain just goes like, it's time to do that now. It's not even like a physical addiction, it's just your brain has linked up. No, you did that action, so you have to do that action now, okay? You get how this works? It just wants you to keep doing the same things over and over again. So, if you are able to get yourself out of that addiction by giving yourself tasks, because here's the crazy thing about life. You, unlike a mouse, are not in a box. Unless you're in solitary confinement in prison, in which case, you probably fucking deserved it and I wish they hate ya. But for everybody else in life is not. Everybody else in life is their own mouse that can make their own mouse universe. You can give yourselves any other tasks that you like. So if you are addicted to a substance and you want to get off it, and it comes to the same with video games, it comes to the same with looking at porn, all of these things, all of these addictions are, there's a huge element of it that is habitual, and if you just replace it with something else, you will find that you become less and less addicted to it, and you start getting more and more addicted to the other thing, because, as we discussed in the dopamine video, you are just releasing dopamine every time you release a task, right? So, instead of just waiting for life to happen to you, you can give yourselves tasks. You can give yourself whatever task you like. I think that this is just a great frame to think of yourself. It doesn't matter if you are employed, it doesn't matter if you're self-employed, it doesn't matter if you own a business, it doesn't matter if you're unemployed. I want everybody out there, and this shifted my mind when I was unemployed as well, I want everybody out there to think of themselves as being self-employed. When you are self-employed, you have to give yourselves tasks. You have to, otherwise you don't eat that day. If you're a plumber, you have to go out there and you have to find new clients, or you have to keep the clients that you have that are happy. You have to do these things. I think it's the same for anyone else. Think of yourself as being self-employed. If you were self-employed, what tasks would you be doing to make a living? What tasks would you be doing right now? And then I want you to just start filling your day out with that. As a result of that, you will have less time to, hang around with these seamy individuals that are just going, come on, it's only a pipe. It's like vaping, am I right? You're just gonna have less time. This happens to me a lot. Those seamy people that I used to hang out with, and they're just like, hey, you wanna hang out? I'm trying out trips to see today, man. Like those things. I'm just like, I can't. I wish I had the time to try out trips to see, but I've got too much to do. That's the whole thing. It's just that whole classic, all the Nan phrases, they're all correct. That idle hands make play of the devil. That's true. If you are idle, you will just start going into drugs. You will start moving into these crime circles because they are just looking for things to occupy their time with. It's sage advice. Drugs give you the excuse to do nothing because they kind of make doing nothing seem awesome. You just look outside your window and like, hey, there are people in those trees, man. Everything just becomes a little adventure. The problem is that it's making you really unhealthy, making you sick, and then eventually you're just probably going to die from it, no offense. Or it's just going to scramble your brain in some way. And even if it doesn't do any of that, it's just going to put that backpack on you. Like Ali, for instance. I don't think it actually gave him any adverse health effects. I just think that it made him lazier. He's an extremely intelligent man, and he's extremely hardworking. But as he himself says, smoking weed was like putting a really heavy military backpack on your back. You can still go up a mountain, but it's way harder than if you don't have that backpack. Anyway, that's what I think that you should be doing. Just fill your life with tasks. I don't care what those tasks are. Just say to yourself, start thinking of the drug that you're addicted to as a reward for completing those tasks. I think that after a while, what will happen, look, this is all hypothesis now at this point, but I think that because it's pretty much what happened with me with writing. If you say that that's my treat for doing these things, you will probably have such a dopamine hit that by the time that you have the drug, you'll probably feel more gross about it because you know that you shouldn't be doing it. When you do have it, you'll just be like, this kind of sucks. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to happen overnight, but over time, if you stick to that regimen of I do this, then I do this, then I do this, then I do this, then I do my drug, you will just feel like dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit, but also I feel bad about the dopamine hit, guilty, and also I have to go hang out with this guy that's always saying, you have to play PlayStation 2 with me. Why don't you get a PlayStation 4? What is it with stoners sticking a PlayStation 2? Tony Hawk 3 till I die. See, that's the whole thing. They can't even be motivated to go out and get the most modern PlayStation. Anyway, I think that's the way that you should be regimenting it. That you use it as a reward mechanism. Because at the very least, you're getting all of these things done anyway that are going to be moving your life in a way where you will have less time to do the drug in the first place. So even if it doesn't get rid of the addiction fully, it kind of just pushes the addiction to the periphery of your life. That's a good start, surely. Just like the mice. That's all I'm saying. If you're a drug addict, you're a mouse. Everybody else is a human being. You're subhuman. Stew on it, feel bad about it, press the like button anyway. Thank you.